ki, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Shri Shri Prahlada Narsimha Deva ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, entitled Creation, Chapter 11, Lord Krishna's Entrance into Dwaraka, text number 1. Suta Uvacha Anartansa Upabrajya Swardhan Janapadan Swakan Dadmo Daravaram Tesham Vishadam Samayanniva. Suta Uvacha Anartansa Upabrajya Swardhan Janapadan Swakan Dadmo Daravaram Tesham Vishadam Samayanniva. Suta Uvacha Anartansa Upabrajya Swardhan Janapadan Swakan Dadmo Daravaram Tesham Vishadam Samayanniva. Vishadam Samayanniva. Suta Uvacha Anartan Swa Upabrajya Swardhan Janapadan Swakan Dadmo Daravaram Tesham Vishadam Samayanniva. Suta Uvacha Anartan Samapajya Swardhan Janapadan Swakan Dadmo Daravaram Tesham Visadam Samayanniva. Synonyms: Suta Uvacha. Suta Goswami said, Anartan, the country known as Anartan, Dwaraka, Saha, he, Upabrajya, reaching the border of, Swardhan, most prosperous, Janapadan, city, Swakan, his own, Dadmo, sounded, Daravaram, the auspicious counsel, Panchajanya, Tesham, of them, Vishadam, dejection, Samayan, pacifying. Iva, seemingly. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dwaraka, the Lord sounded his auspicious counsel, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. Translation with repetition. Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dwaraka, the Lord sounded his auspicious counsel, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dwaraka for a considerably long period because of the battle of Kurukshetra. And thus all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholia due to the separation. When the Lord descends to the earth, his eternal associates also come with him, just as the entourage of a king accompanies him. Such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls, and they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment because of intense affection for the Lord. Thus the inhabitants of the city of Dwaraka were in a mood of dejection and expected the arrival of the Lord at any moment. So the heralding sound of the auspicious counsel was very encouraging, and apparently the sound pacified their dejection. They were still more aspirant to see the Lord amongst themselves, and all of them became alert to receive him in the befitting manner. These are the signs of spontaneous love of Godhead. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are starting a new chapter today. This chapter is entitled as Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka. So in the previous chapter we saw how Krishna left Hastinapura. What was the title of the chapter? Krishna's leaving for Dwaraka. Lord Krishna's departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka. And this is Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka. Actually, these two chapters are very, very, very special chapters. Of course, every chapter of Bhagavatam is special, but these chapters bring out some very nice facets of bhakti, which is hidden, which is exhibited by some common people who are in a very elevated platform. This may not be some instructions, may not be some prayers. These are just realizations of ordinary people who are living in their day-to-day life, yet have perfected the art of how to perceive the Lord in their lives always. And we saw that in the previous thing, where the Lord was departing for Dwaraka, and how those inhabitants of Hastinapur, they were trying to suppress their emotions, not showing the tears because it is considered inauspicious, and so on and so forth, and how they walked with the Lord. Nobody told them that you should They walked with the Lord. And in continuation with this, again to see the mood of people, what exactly goes on in their lives, what exactly it means to become a liberated soul. Because in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that the associates of the Lord in Dwaraka are all liberated souls. How do they work? What is their function? How do they talk? How do they behave? What do they do? Those are some of the things which we can see from this verse. So the verse is Anartan sa upabrajya Swardhan Janapadan Swakan. Janapadan is metropolis and Swakan is my own. So Anartan sa upabrajya. Upabrajya means Upanishad, means coming close and sitting next to a person who is self-realized and asking him questions about self-realization. That's how you receive this knowledge. Upabrajya, having come to the border of his own metropolis. Dadhmo daravaram tesham. Another word for the conch that we blow. What do we call the conch? What do you call it in Hindi? Sank. You can say daravaram. Right? What are you blowing? I'm blowing daravaram. Right? Dadhmo daravaram tesham. So the Lord blew his consel. What is the name of his consel? Panchajanyam. And what kind of consel is that? Bhagavad Gita, if you have read, it says, Divyam Sankho Pradhatmatu. Divyam, this is transcendental. So Dadhmo Daravaram Tesham. The Lord blew his consel called Panchajanya. Usually when devotees blow consel, if you pay attention and if you're not here, you're a little outside or you're running, you can, by hearing the consel, you can figure out who's blowing the consel. Who's there to do this Mangalarti. Different people have different styles of blowing, right? Some struggle, some do it in this way, some do it in an elongated manner. This is the Lord blowing his consel. Dadmo daravaram tesham. Oh, he blew his Panchajanya. Everybody got to know about it. This is Lord has come. Dadmo daravaram tesham. And what happened when they heard that? Vishadam samayan iva. Vishadam samayan. Vishadam, all the melancholy. Prabhupada's translation, Vishadam is dejection. Samayan is become pacified. Vishadam samayan iva. Iva is used seemingly. They got to know, they were busy in their own lives, they were having so many activities going on. But the moment Krishna has reached, and just to let them know that I have arrived, he blew his consel. And Dadmo Daravaram Tesham. And that Divyam Sankham, that sound when it has reached the ears of the Dwarakavasis, immediately Visadam Samayan Iva. Iva means it is still not fully pacified because they still want to see their Lord, and that we will see how eager they are. Eager to see the Lord. My God. Dwaraka is rich metropolis, Prabhupada is writing. That means they had all their opulences, everything, whatever their necessities, all the facilities, amenities, everything was there. They were not happy. They were waiting, where is Krishna? What is the use of all these things if in the heart there is no Krishna? So, Visadam Samayanniva. That lamentation was not for not having some more material opulence. That lamentation was not for missing out on some material facilities to enjoy. That lamentation was not for getting an increment, not for getting good grades in the class. Lamentation was Lord was not there with us. It's very powerful, these things, very simple things. But it talks about the consciousness of the people. Vishadam Samayaniva. Apparently their dejection got pacified just by hearing the counsel. Suta Goswami said, Suta Uvacha, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, Upabrajya Anartan Janapadan Swardan. Swardan is most prosperous. Okay. known as the country of the Anarthas, which is Dwaraka. Anartha, anyway, Prabhupada has put as it is. The Lord sounded his auspicious counsel, Dadmo, auspicious Daravaram, counsel, Dadmo Daravaram. Lord sounded his auspicious counsel, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. Vishadam Samayaniva. Vishadam Samayaniva. In the purport, Prabhupada actually mentions few important points. One of the things that he mentions is that the beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dwaraka for a considerably long period because of the battle of Kurukshetra. And thus all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholia due to separation. The sadness or the dejection was because of separation, not because they were lacking in material prosperities. That's why the word used there is Anarthan and it is Swardhan. Very prosperous metropolis. Everything, whatever you can think of, were there, but they were not happy. Why? Not for some material reasons. Because Lord was not present for a very long time. When the Lord descends to then another thing that he says that such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls. And they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment because of intense affection for the Lord. Right? These are all eternally liberated souls. And they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment because of intense affection for the Lord. And then towards the end, Prabhupada is saying that these are the signs of spontaneous love of Godhead. Spontaneously they are attracted. Now, pause for a moment and look in your own lives, and don't need to say anything to anybody, but if you look in your life and try to understand and analyze that do I have this spontaneous love for God? What is it? What does it mean to have spontaneous love for God? Or even before that, if you see the simple act of Krishna blowing his conch, right? Krishna is blowing his conch, which is transcendental. Dadmo Daravaram, Visadan Iva Samayan. So this blowing of conch actually signifies certain important things. First is the sound comes before sight. Very important. You want to perceive Krishna, you want to understand who the Lord is, first you have to associate with his words, with his Vani. That is why in the Veda, another name of the Lord is called Shrutekshita. You can't directly see the Lord and understand who he is. No. First you have to hear about him. How important it is in our lives to hear, not for somebody's, it's just not just some discourse which is a mechanical ritual. No, if I want to re-establish my relationship with the Lord, I must know about him. I must hear his instructions. How else will I know him? Shrutekshita, sound comes before sight. Before they see him, they heard his counsel. In our spiritual life also, before we realize anything deeply, how do you realize anything? How the realization comes? How does, you have to hear it. And the hearing is not just one-time activity or exercise and to be forgotten at the end of the class, but it has to be sufficiently contemplated. Right? So we have to hear it first. That Shravanam is so important. That's the first thing, always. Always. Right? The conch also gives hope. Vishadan iva samayan. Vishadan. What is this world? This world is a terrible place. Some problem or other will keep coming. Bodily problem, mental problem, financial problem, relational problem, emotional problem, different levels of problems. that makes our life, there is no taste, no rasa. It's very unpalatable. And what we do, our energy, effort, time goes in trying to solve them. Trying to solve with our own this thing. No. Vishadan Nivasamayan. The conch of the Lord gives us hope. The melancholy in life gets completely removed. The moment that sound reaches our ears, whole mood changes. No matter how much you try in your room, in your house, whatever you are doing, whatever plans you have, trying to improve your situation, it's very difficult. And why it is difficult? How do we come out? How do we develop? Is there a way, is there a chance that I can experience that spontaneous love for God? Why it is not coming to me? Those are some of the things we will discuss. Second thing, the conch is giving the hope. And the third thing, the conch purifies and strengthens. Panchajanya is not just a sound effect. It actually carries Krishna's presence. It drives away fear and heaviness and gives spiritual strength. They heard, oh, Krishna has come. And we'll see how eagerly they will run. What amazing chapter is this? Actually, it's a very beautiful chapter. And then how Krishna is interacting with his mothers, how Krishna is interacting with his wives, all those things. And how Krishna is reciprocating with their feelings. That's also shown. It also shows Krishna's care. Krishna is not, he's not just letting them rot in some anxiety until he physically appears. From the border itself, Upabrajya, from the border itself, he's reassuring, I've come. I'm there. Don't worry. I'm not just there only for some elevated, exalted, very pure devotees. I am there for each one of you. Krishna is present with us. He's telling, come. You don't have to worry. But we don't want to. We are saying, no. Not right now. I'll take some more time. So, there are so many things you can draw from this one incident of Krishna's blowing conch shell. Right? We also get a chance every day in the morning to hear the holy name. How nicely are we hearing? That hearing the holy name, when we are chanting and hearing, not only it gives us peace, strength, hope, it also brings back the sanity in our lives to make us realize who we truly are. And that misunderstanding is so gross. And the whole life goes away in that. And that is why that's different goals, different activities, different pursuits. End result is same. No happiness and frustration. The heart actually still longs for a deeper, more direct connection with Krishna. So this Samayan Iva, what is that last line? Vishadam Samayaniva. So Samayaniva means almost it got pacified. Right? Vishadam Samayaniva. Now you see this question that I was asking, what prevents us from experiencing this love? What prevents us? This is what I would like to focus. What prevents us from experiencing this love? Why don't we get that spontaneous love? Why we have been trying for so long, but why we don't have? And this is a very, very interesting question and very important question to ask ourselves. The question is very honest question. This residents of Dwaraka, they were not well versed with scriptures, or none of those things are mentioned, but they were able to experience spontaneous love for God. Why are we not? Why don't we feel like them all the time? What blocks us? And the answer is that thing which blocks us is our false ego, ahankara. Big block that we have. The word that we use in our in our common parlance is ego, right? And that ego, literally, it's a word which is derived from German, and it means Ego is derogatively used, or that person has got so much ego, that person is this thing. The ego is actually a self. It could be a true self, it could be a false self. Could be true ego, could be a false ego. Right? The Atma. The real word that is used in the yogic scriptures or the Vedic text is self, Atma. That is the true self, the eternal spiritual person who's residing in this temporary body, inside this temporary dress. And the false self is the identity that we build around the body and mind. Aham Kara. Aham is I, Kara, that which builds this I, or that which makes this Ahankara. So what is it that is making this Ahankara? I maker. So I am 20 years old. I'm just seeing my age. I am male. I'm seeing my body. I am tall. I'm seeing my height. I am Indian. I'm seeing my race, racial origin. All these things are deep ignorance, deep identification, right? That is what is called false ego. You put some labels. I am a PhD student. I am an engineer. I am a male. I'm 50 years old. I'm 60 years old, and so on and so forth. All these levels we are putting, and we are strongly identifying with this body and mind, which is not real me. And this false ego is the foundation of all unhappiness. Because I build my whole life on a wrong identity. Whole life is built on that wrong identity, and I chase after wrong things and suffer for these wrong things and miss the real purpose of life, which is loving Krishna. It doesn't come easily. It's not easy. Because of this deep-rooted foundation that I'm this body and I'm building my whole life on this wrong identity, I'm chasing after wrong things. In Bhagavatam, there are very powerful examples, analogies are given, and I'll just take two from them to explain this, how somebody lives so carelessly, so foolishly, and how they miss out the goal of life. And this identity is such a frivolous thing. I mean, you see your body is changing, yet the identification, and based on those identification, the goals and activities are completely misdirected. Here is a verse from Bhagavatam, very interesting verse. But before I show that verse, what do you see here? Clouds, okay. Ocean. Anything else that you're seeing? Is it daytime or nighttime? Nighttime. I didn't write anywhere, but you could guess that it is nighttime. But you are able to see the clouds. How are you able to see the clouds? Huh? Yes, Mataji. Because the moon is there behind. I'm not seeing the moon, but I'm able to see the clouds because there is moon which is hiding. Bhagavatam gives a very powerful example. During the rainy season, the moon was prevented from appearing directly by the covering of the clouds, which were themselves illumined by the moon's rays. Similarly, the living being in material existence is prevented from appearing directly by the covering of this false ego, which is itself illumined by the consciousness of the pure soul. Because the soul is present inside the body, this body has some meaning, right? Like the moon, which is hiding behind the clouds, because of the moon, this cloud is getting illumined. Similarly, the clouds is like that false ego. This false ego of our body, false ego of our mind is being illumined by the soul. Imagine the soul leaves the body. That this body has this thing. It'll rot, it'll stink, it'll decompose, it'll decay, it'll be burned to ashes. So he's saying, similarly, the living being in material existence is prevented from appearing directly by the covering of the false ego, which is itself illumined by the consciousness of the pure soul. Imagine this kurta that I'm wearing. I wash it and I'll hang it. If I'm hanging it, it is not able to move. But when I'm wearing it, and I'm walking along with my hands, this kurta is also moving. Now it is not able to hang, not able to move. Why? Because the person who's wearing is not there. It's just lying like that. Similarly, this body is just a covering. It got its power, or it gets its identity from the soul which is present. As soon as the soul leaves the body, it's nothing, it's dead matter. But this false ego prevents us, right, from knowing what is it. If similarly, I mean, these are all very powerful analogies, just to make us understand how we are living life. Madhu Pandit Prabhu always gives this very nice example, which is very striking, right? Imagine you have gone to watch a movie in a theater. So, and you are sitting in the theater, movie theater, and the lights are turned off. And there is a very strong, powerful beam which is being projected on the screen. And you are sitting there, and there is a digital Dolby sound which is being played in the backdrop. So you are looking, what is happening is, whatever is projected on the screen, they are falling on the retina, and they are going through the retina, through the eyes, and it is creating an image somewhere, and that image, through some chemical, some electrons being fired, or whatever it is, and there is a cortex, what is it? What cortex in the brain? Where all the signals are going, and it is processing, and you are seeing that there is a movie which is being played, but look at your behavior. You are feeling emotions, you are feeling happy, you are feeling sad, you are feeling... Actually, none of those things are related to you, but you are strongly identifying with that. Very deep identification with that. Some people, if there is a horrible thing which is going on, oh, they feel scared. Nothing is happening to you, Baba, it's happening on that screen. But we strongly identify. We deeply get engrossed in that dream. This is me. This is my life. This hero is going through some trouble. I identify with that. Like that, the soul, which is giving the identity to this dead matter, is also experiencing, and we are feeling this is all mine. These are my relatives. These are all my possessions. They're all my house. These are all these things. With them I have to live. This is the false ego. Prabhupada gives another example. Suppose in this room there is only one bulb, and that bulb is colored with a cellophane, like a blue, what do you call those? Like a blue sheet of paper, blue color paper, or a yellow color paper, blue cellophane. So what will happen? The whole house will look blue or yellow, right? If one film is covering that light, which is white, the whole thing becomes blue or yellow. Similarly, the whole world will appear like blue. False ego does the same thing for us. It colors everything. I see everything in relation to me and my body. The false ego gets nourished by this idea of mamatva. These are mine. These are all mine. Why it is mine? Because I am this body, this is my children, my parents, these are my house, this my car, aham mameti. I see everything in relation to me and my body. Right? My success, my suffering. I think I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor. And that is where Krishna exactly says in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 27th verse, Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasa ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Prakrite kriyamanani. Soul, which is bewildered by this false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities. Actually, that is carried out by material nature, right? By the modes of material nature. So long as I am covered by this filter, I will not naturally feel like residents of Dwaraka. The identity that the Dwarakavasis are having is they are eternal, part and parcel of the Lord. They are meant to serve Him. The thing that is blocking us is this deep identity, deep conception of our false self, that I am this body and I am supposed to enjoy with this. Question is, even if you understand this, what do you do? How do you experience this? What is it that we can do to come out of this? There are multiple things, and it is possible. Very nicely, these things are explained in Bhagavatam. Very, very nice. Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, everywhere it is mentioned. So, to come out of this, I have one verse from Bhagavatam also, which says, just as a person who is whirling around perceives the ground to be turning, one who is affected by false ego thinks himself the doer when actually only his mind is acting. All these thoughts, desires which are produced in the mind, actually it is sometimes important to reflect on those things. What is the difference between mind, intelligence and false ego? And how this covering, because yes, the gross covering is this body which is made up of Pancha Mahabhuta, the soul whose actual resident is inside, and apart from this gross covering, there is also inside this is a subtle covering. And the first subtle covering is false ego. Then there is intelligence, and then there is mind. Mind is something where all these emotions, thoughts which keep coming, keep producing. Sometimes when we are acting, we know that I'm not supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to say that. I'm hearing that voice. Hey, you shouldn't talk. But I'm not able to control and I'm able to speak. I'm just doing that. I'm going ahead with that, knowingly that I shouldn't have done. I can always see my thoughts. I can always see my emotions, and I can detach myself from that which is being produced from the mind. But false ego, you can't act like that. It is you. There is no way to separate yourself from that. That false ego is the identity that you are carrying, which is so strong and deep. I'm a brahmachari. I'm a temple president. I'm a temple commander. I'm a pujari. And that is you. When you are acting, you are not able to keep that aside. So then, if this is what it is, and if this whole identity and these thoughts and emotions which we are going through are creating so much of bewilderment, how do we come out of it? Very, very nicely, Bhagavad Gita mentions this. Very powerful, these verses. So there is a verse which comes in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is telling, Yada te moha kalilam. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati. Gantasya nirvedam srotasya srutasya cha. What is the last line? Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotasya shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Very powerful verse. I spoke about mind, thoughts, emotions, and I spoke about false ego, but in between that there is a buddhi. The only hope that we have, if we really want to experience Krishna Prema, is to work on the platform of intelligence. So, yada te moha kalilam. Kalilam is a deep, dense forest. It's a forest. What kind of a forest it is? Moha kalilam. Oh, this material world is a very bewildering place. नींद आता रहता है, क्या करें? जब जागना चाहिए तब सो जाते हैं, जब सोना चाहिए तब जागते रहते हैं. Moha kalilam. Imagine a deep, dense forest you are walking. It's a forest of illusion, which is making me feel I'm in control of my life. I'm supposed to enjoy. I'm supposed to live like that. This is what is the common understanding of people. There is no this thing for spiritual impetus or spiritual life. And even if they have so many weaknesses which they're not able to control. They give excuse, because so-and-so person told me I had to go. I was not interested, Prabhuji. I was not thinking of going there. But what to do? They all persuaded me and I followed them. So many such lame excuses we give. That is why yada means when. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati. When the intelligence goes past this dense forest of illusion, when it has gone past and knows that these are all illusory. This cannot satisfy. This cannot make a person happy. These are not supposed to give us permanent happiness. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati. So when the intelligence has gone past, what is this intelligence? Intelligence is something which helps us to discriminate, the power of discerning. There is a series of options which are available in front of me. Which one to choose? Which is correct, which is wrong? Which is appropriate, which is inappropriate? That is buddhi. Yadate moha kalilam buddhir betitarishyati. So when the intelligence has gone over this dense forest of illusion, tada gantasi nirvedam shrotabhyasya shrutasya cha, then a person becomes indifferent to these things. Indifferent. He'll not get affected by that. Tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya. Doesn't matter how many people are telling how, Arey, wo jagah tum gaya nahi? You didn't experience that? You didn't try this? Tada gantasi nirvedam. Indifferent. Shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. What is to be heard, what he is hearing, is not affected by that. So for that, the buddhi has to go, you should use your intelligence to see, Baba, what you are doing. How many times, how many lifetimes we have spent wasting our valuable life in identifying ourselves with this body. How many lifetimes? And what are we doing again? We are saying, no, I didn't do because of somebody else I did. Tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. So, I'll bring to the stage, how do you experience? So first thing is, use your intelligence. Actually, Krishna very nicely puts these things in Bhagavad Gita, very, very beautiful. This, when you see these things, Krishna revealing this, you'll have a deep appreciation for this knowledge. In second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in another place, Krishna says, Buddhi yukto jahatiha. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrita duskrute tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. There is an art of work. There is an art of living. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. The expression of the words are very, very nice. You cannot say that it's not a formula that you have come to this path of spiritual life, automatically things will happen. No matter what I do, when I do, everything is fine. Arey, I've got my family, I've got my children, I've got my this thing, I've got my job, I've got my this thing. I have to take care of it. No. In the rest of the times, whatever is happening, I'm trying to do. Why are you so this thing? No. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Know the art. Know the art of living. Know the art of working. How you should work. How should you work? Krishna explains this. Buddhi yukto jahatiha. The word which Krishna uses, this word yukta, if you find in Bhagavad Gita, many times it has been explained. And the word yukta means when somebody is in union with the Lord. Very nicely, Prabhupada's translation, if you literally see this word buddhi yukto, means one who's engaged with intelligence. Prabhupada's word-to-word meaning is not like that. One who's engaged in devotional service. You can, how is it buddhi yukta? Clearly it is saying one who's engaged in intelligence. But why Prabhupada is saying one who's engaged in devotional service? And what is it that he has to do? Very excellent revelation actually. Buddhi yukto jahatiha. Iha is this material world. When you are living in this, what is that yoga karma sukhaushalam? How you should act? What is the art of work? Krishna is telling buddhi yukto jahatiha. Jahati, you would have, this word also comes in Bhagavad Gita many times. When Krishna is beginning to answer the questions of Arjuna, Sthita Pragyasya ka bhasa, he starts with Krishna starts with Prajahati yada kaman. Prajahati. Jahati is to give up. Prajahati, completely giving up. So he's telling Buddhi yukto jahatiha. Jahati. You have to give up. What you have to give up? Ubhe sukrute duskrute. All these results of your activity, happiness, distress, give it up. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrute duskrute tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karma sukhaushalam. Don't get carried away by all these things. Don't get carried away by all this temporary glittering happiness, distress. They will come. This problem, this allurement, that thing. Buddhi yukto. What is that buddhi? I am an eternal soul residing in the body. My constitutional position is I am fragmental part and parcel of the Lord. I am meant to serve Him. That is why the word that is Prabhupada is using is Buddhi Yukta, one who's engaged in devotional service. Perfect translation. One who's engaged in devotional service. Now, how will you, that is my real position. That is what I am. But forgetting that, not using the intelligence, I'm identifying myself with the body and getting carried away to Sukrute and Duskrute. Today this problem is there, I would not come. I'll only come when all these problems are solved. Or I have got this weakness, I've got this something is going on parallelly. I have to take care of that. No. Jahatiha ubhe sukrute duskrute. Jahatiha ubhe sukrute duskrute. Then, and how that is possible? By Buddhi Yukta. Tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karma sukoshalam. This is an art of work. What happens if you work like this? If you work with this kind of a consciousness, what will happen? Purification of heart. This is also very nicely Krishna explains in multiple places. One which we will see. How should we work and what this work does and what happens when you purify your consciousness. So this verse I was telling yesterday. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalayar indriyarapi yoginaha karma kurbanti sangam tyaktva atma suddhaye. Kayena manasa buddhya. Kaya is our body or the karmendriyas. Manasa is our mind. Buddhya is by intelligence. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalayar indriyarapi, and including our senses. Yoginaha karma kurbanti sangam tyaktva atma suddhaye. The yogis who are actually connected with the Lord, yoginaha karma kurbanti. You cannot say that I will not work. It's impossible. Because Krishna himself says, nahi kaschat kshanamapi jato tishtati akarmakrit. You have to work. But what should you work? How should you work? You are working, understanding that you are Krishna's. And in that consciousness, when you are working, giving up all the attachments. Sangam tyaktva. You can't give up the results of your action, but you can give up the attachment to those results. Sangam tyaktva atma suddhaye. It purifies one. The art of work is when we are working for the pleasure of the Lord, understanding our true position, using our intelligence, it purifies us. Atma suddhaye. If that is not happening, if that purification of consciousness, if the purification of heart doesn't happen, it's a big problem, which Krishna mentions in Bhagavatam, this verse. It is mentioned by Lord Shiva, one of the most powerful verses, very, very powerful verses. Because unless you come to the state of purification, you cannot experience the Lord. Forget about developing love of Godhead. So this verse of Bhagavatam, it says, Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam. Sattvam Visuddham. Visuddha Sattva. Existence has to be purified. It has to be brought to that state which is called Vasudeva Sabditam. It is known as Vasudeva consciousness. Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam. You come to that state, what will happen? Yad iyate tatra puman apabrataha. Yad iyate. Iyate means the Lord reveals himself. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Naham prakasa sarvasya yogamaya samabrataha, abrataha. I am covered by my yogamaya potency. I am covered. You can't. Naham prakasa sarvasya. I'm not supposed to reveal myself. Naham prakasa sarvasya yogamaya samabrata. The word used here is apabrataha. Apabrata is uncovering. Yad iyate tatra puman apabrataha. Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam. When our existence becomes purified, Yadiyate, the Lord reveals himself. How? Tatra Puman Apabrataha. There is an uncovering which is happening. Tatra Puman Apabrata. This curtain gets removed and we can perceive the Lord. Sattvecha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo hi adhokshaje me namasa vidhiyate. Sattvecha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudeva. The translation of this is, I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudev in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudev, is revealed without any covering. He is revealed. Sattvecha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo hi adhokshaje me namasa vidhiyate. I am always engaged in offering. This is Lord Shiva telling, in pure consciousness. Right? So, if this is what I need to do, this is what I have to do. How do I come out of this, the covering of false ego? How do I get rid of this? Do I have to do something separate? One of the things which Bhagavatam mentions is a verse in Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. It says that bhakti, devotion to Krishna, actually dissolves the subtle body without separate effort. But like I mentioned, the bhakti has to be performed in a particular way. There is a way of, that is why yoga karma sukaushalam. You need to know the art of doing that bhakti using your intelligence. Buddhya yukto jayatiha. Buddhya yukto jahatiha. Right? Jahati, we have to give up this sukrute and duskrute. Otherwise we are stuck. To conclude our time together, right? So Krishna's associates in Dwaraka, they are free from this false ego. Their only identity is that they feel they are Krishna's. That's why the sound of his conch can immediately touch their heart. For all of us, the more we move from this false ego to our true spiritual identity, the more we will also experience Krishna's counsel moments in our life. The counsel moments could be the moment, the conch is blown at the morning, right? I have to run. This is a sign. Krishna's, the counsel is being blown, now the arati is going to be performed. I cannot be, theek hai, chalte hain, aaram se, aate hain, ye kya hai? No, Krishna's arati is going to be performed. There has to be that laulyam, eagerness. Actually, in Nectar of Devotion, if you hear, Rupa Goswami says, one of the sign of surrender is eagerness in the heart. Some people come aaram se. Theek hai. Kya hai? Kaun sa badi baat hai? Eagerness in the heart. That's a counsel moment. The sound of the Maha Mantra on our beads, when I'm hearing, now Krishna is going to descend on my tongue. I'm going to hear his sound. This is a counsel moment. Counsel moment means, like the Dwarakavasis, they may have so many engagements. The moment they heard Krishna has blown the counsel, they left everything. Not that, okay, I have to do this, I have to finish, I have got this thing, no, abhi nahi. Ho jane ke baad dekhenge. Ran. Sometimes, you hear some verse that literally, that hits our heart, that touches, that's a counsel moment. That counsel, I need to preserve that essence. Sometimes some devotees' words that wake us up. Otherwise, the deep slumber, forgetfulness is so paramount. And Kali Yuga, yesterday I went to somebody's house. That person, Neha. So I went to their house, and they live in an apartment. Many people live. And the apartment had a opening from the front and the back. So GPS took me to the back side of the apartment. So I went and I called. So you have come? I said yes. So I said I'm there in front of the apartment, the number, whatever number. So she took some time to come, and she went to the front side probably, and then she came to the back side and she told, I was waiting for you in the front. I said, I didn't know that there is a front entrance. I thought GPS brought me here, I'm standing here. Then she took me to her what do you call, the house that she's living in that apartment. She was pregnant. She was carrying, that's why she was walking slowly. And there is no lift in that thing, and we went there. And then she made me sit in a sofa. That sofa, if you sit, it goes fully inside. And it's because of partly the sofa is broken or whatever it is, and it's going inside. All over the room, the place is messed up. And she went and knocked at the husband's in the bedroom. Husband was sleeping. So, kaun hai? He's saying somebody special, something. He said, I'm hearing all. And he's saying, abhi main so raha hu, thodi 10-15 minute mein aata hu. I said, okay. And then this lady came, And there's a TV going on in the drawing room, some round table conference of some actors who are sitting, and she's talking to me and she's looking at that, she has muted that, she's talking to me, and then she wants to hear that again, right? Yada te moha kalilam. So many illusions. That husband finally woke up and came. He took some bath, and in his mind he's thinking her friend has come. And so I said, I can take some liberty and come at my own this thing. I hardly spoke to them for 5-10 minutes, and he has got some other things going on in their life. Completely messed up. In our life also, we have so many things going on. But this counsel moment is a alert. This thing, I have to become alert. You see how many people come on a regular day to temple just to do some devotional service. We show up on Saturday, Sunday, there is a competition. Who will do what? Because there are some people around, and maybe I want to sing, I want to do something, I want to do this thing, and then I'm gone. Do I have that spontaneous love for Krishna? Not that you have to come every day and sit. Nobody is saying that. Ask yourself within. When there is there is some announcement that there is a festival which is coming up. Festival is nothing but coming together, taking this opportunity to come together and engage in Krishna's service, be it kirtan, be it cooking, be it anything. How many of us feel excited about it? How many times when such moments come in our life, maybe now there is a book marathon which is going to start from today onwards. But I may have so many other engagements. But no, this is Krishna's counsel. This is 1st December, this thing comes. Jahatiha, ubhe sukrute duskrute jahatiha. Giving up all that, I should come. That is how, when I do all those things, then my existence becomes purified. And when the existence becomes purified, the covering of false ego melts, dissolves. If that covering of false ego dissolves, melts, iyate, the Lord reveals, I can experience the love of Godhead. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So Krishna, when he's blowing his conch, he's actually saying, come back, I'm here. Don't get entangled and entrapped in all these things. Don't live in this movie, and don't identify yourself with that characters. That's gone, over, it's an illusion. Come back. But we are stuck still. So ask yourself, pause for a moment and ask yourself, where are you struggling? Where are you struggling? What is it that is holding you back? It's not something to be shared, but ask yourself, how many such weaknesses are there? And how this rare opportunity is there in front of us can help us take to that platform, spiritual platform, and we can experience Krishna Prema. So, without Krishna, even Dwaraka was empty. Right? So, real happiness is Krishna's presence in our life, not external comfort. And the first touch of Krishna comes through his transcendental sound. His name, his words, his pastimes, his activities are very powerful. And what blocks us from tasting the love of God is false ego. The bodily concept that I am this body, these labels that we have, these roles that we carry. And bhakti, slowly, certainly, surely, if performed properly, dissolves the false ego. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments. Yeah. You know, see, I kept on giving so many examples, so maybe. So, movie example where actually the soul, or forget about the soul, the person who is watching the movie has got nothing to do with that movie. But because the identity that it is, because of the uh, identification with the character, he's feeling happy, he's feeling sad, he's feeling these things. But it has got nothing to do, I mean, he's forgetting all his real, this thing that his name is something. Maybe he has got some other things to do in life, and for that 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever he's there inside the movie theater is completely in the state of forgetfulness. He's identifying with that. And the movies are made also so nicely these days. Something is happening like as if it is coming and falling on you. And then you feel, beta hai tum udhar hi. But that thing gets completely lost. So like that, the soul has the first layer of covering, that's false ego, which I was giving the example, like he's giving that example of clouds, right? Those clouds, behind that, these clouds are getting illumined because of the moon. Because of the soul is present, that is why there is an identification with the body. Otherwise, there is no need for me to identify with the body. If the body is lying there alone, soul is not there, it's of no use. So that presence of the soul is creating that identification with which I am identifying. I'm a male, I'm a female, I'm a this thing, all those things. But it is a temporary covering, and that gross ignorance leads to all other further these things. And this identity is very strong, very, very strong. So our goals, our objectives, these things are all very different. So when we take to this transcendental knowledge, whatever those clouds of ignorance, whatever those clouds of identification, whatever those clouds of fogs of darkness which is there, they get dissipated. Uncovering happens, apabratam. And when the uncovering happens, I identify myself as the spirit soul. All this temporary, these things I have created, my father, mother, sister, brother, husband, wife, children, all temporary. I am actually Krishna's. Soul is covered, no? Like that cloud is covering that moon. So moon is as a cloud is appearing lit like that. You know, let's say the light is covered by the blue cellophane or some yellow cellophane. You are getting a blue light or yellow light. So the soul, which is Sat Chit and Ananda, when it is covered with this false ego, identity is being formed. So in the soul, in the body of a animal, it is considering itself to be perfectly an animal. Soul in the body of a human being, it is considered itself to be perfectly a human being. That's how it is. We'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki